Hello and welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. The Light 'em Up Lounge is here yet again. It's Wednesday evening over here in Europe, afternoon for Enrique over in his home in Miami. I'm delighted to welcome Enrique Sanchez from Global Premium Cigars and 1502. And we want to talk about Enrique's journey with premium cigars and with Global Premium Cigars, his company, learn a little more about the statement proudly Nicaraguan and his inspiration behind the wonderful cigars that he's sharing with all of us. So without further ado, Enrique, welcome to the show and thank you so much for joining us here at the Light 'em Up Lounge. It's a pleasure to have you.
I appreciate it. Everything's well here in Miami. A little bit too warm for my taste. It's 87 degree, but we are definitely enjoying one of the finest cigars that we can have in our hand. So thank you very much for having me, for the invitation. And I'm looking forward to spending the next few hours the most enjoyable as possible.
That's perfect. So, and Enrique, let's talk about this proudly Nicaraguan first. I mean, you're not joining us from Miami, but talk to us a little bit about that Nicaraguan heritage and the origin and what it actually means to you.
Well, I mean, Nicaragua, it's my home country. What it means. It means for everybody that have love for all their heritage, their country. It's the same we have here with Nicaragua. I mean, I was born and raised in Nicaragua. My family has been living in Nicaragua for over 200 years. So it's not like I became Nicaraguan just for the tobacco. I mean, it was the other around. I mean, the tobacco found me in a way, but and that's part of it. I remember when we first got started, one of the first meetings I had with Don Nestor Plasencia, and he told me something very interesting, and that's one of the things that we always keep in mind for our product Nicaragua. He told me, Enrique, there's so many people taking proud of our Nicaraguan product, people from Europe, from the United States, Cubans, Asians, or whatever you want to call them. But you don't see no Nicaraguan, actually true Nicaraguan, with the Nicaraguan flag going everywhere. And that it's make a big difference. And he told me, if you can become that person, that ambassador for Nicaragua, that's something that nobody can take it away from you. Knowing the love and passion you have for your country and everything that you want to do in this industry, go embrace the flag, your flag. And for me, that was a very honor to do so. Is showing everywhere I go, showing a little bit of our land, a little piece of our land, and through our tobacco and through our experience of how Nicaraguans do things.
No, but I mean, it's one thing to be told to venture out and take that request to your heart and then execute it. But it's a totally different story to turn it into a viable business and truly start the journey and become that ambassador that you mentioned. I mean, how did you start with cigars and where did you finally then plug it into and see like, okay, this is something that I can truly do and turn into a business?
Well, I think this is the only business in which I have done in which I never did a business plan. I just jumped to the water and see with the shark from the first day. I didn't have no idea about the business. I didn't have no idea about the industry. I've been smoking cigar for many. I believe my first cigar was in 1991. And I do remember when I was meeting with Nestor Plasencia, it's like, I don't want to make my own blends in the beginning because I don't know much about tobacco itself. And he's like, well, we do have all the tobacco in the world that you can imagine, but we also have the very knowledgeable. It's 5 generations in which they're working with tobacco. And they were very humble and helpful to teach me everything that I know. And, of course, there's a lot more to learn in the process, but I think we had done some good things at this point. So that was the beginning. It was the push toward that. Involving with the Nicaragua, a Nicaraguan face in which you don't see in the industry. And that's how we came out with the name. Why 1502? That was actually the year my country, Nicaragua, was discovered by Christopher Columbus in his fourth and last trip to America. So we want to create something, not only the screen Nicaragua, but also the name has to be very relative with Nicaragua itself. So what better that everything that when everything gets restarted. There was civilization there before. It was in the year 1502. So everything is involved in that. And how do you put Nicaragua, the year everything gets started, and the proud that we have for our country is proud in Nicaragua. So everything, it's part of the same image itself. And people ask me, so you sell cigars? Like, no, I provide people with a lifestyle to relax and enjoy and share a little bit of what my country can offer you, and which are our premium cigars with one of the finest tobacco in the world.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And as we all know, Nicaragua now is the biggest manufacturer of premium cigars in the world. And there's a lot of brands out there, but not all of them have the Nicaraguan origin like you have. People who own brands, people who manufacture their own cigars. But then here comes Enrique Sanchez with his Nicaraguan roots and ventures out to represent his country through the rich product and the richness. I read that on your homepage. You talk about the richness of that origin. You talk about the richness of Nicaragua, and you bring that to people. How challenging was it, though, for you to convince the people that you were working with that you are for real in the cigar world? Because I can only imagine how many people, how many business owners, how many dreamers probably come to a cigar manufacturer and tell them, I want to start my own cigar line. I want to do my own business, right? But to convince them that you're actually for real and you have the guts and the means and the capabilities to create a brand that will probably become a legacy brand at some point in the future, that's a totally different story.
It is indeed. And you know what? It's very interesting because I didn't want to start my own brands, to be honest. It was Don Nestor Plasencia that actually pushed me. He probably saw something in me that I didn't even see it in that time. And, and I thank him for having that vision and all the support, all the knowledge he had to help us. But it was that. He was the one that said, Enrique, give me a chance. And when he tells me that, I'm like, wait a second. I should be in my knees asking him for a chance. But he's so humble, asking me for a chance. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's give it a try. Let's see what can we do together. And I remember walking the first day to the blending room was Ivan and Ricardo, the two master blenders in which I worked from the beginning. And I was very, very humble with them as well. I said, I've been smoking cigars for quite a while, since high school, most likely. And Nicaragua was legal at the time, so it's fine. But I don't know anything about tobacco itself. Please start from scratch. Teach me as you would teach a 5-year-old kid how to do this. So it was a lot of preparation even before going to the blend, but it was part of my passion in that aspect. So it was very intrigued way of combining a business in which I didn't see as a business, so as a passion in the moment. But when we start working the blends and we come out with the 3 blends, the original ones, and we call the blending selection, and which is 1502 Emerald, 1502 Ruby, and 1502 Black Gold, I was blown away. It's like, whoa, wait a second. This nothing in the market like this. I was speechless. And that moment is when my marketing background, my business background kicks in. It's like, wait a second. Not only it's great, I think it's going to be good. But I didn't know anybody in the industry besides Plasencia, of course, but I didn't know anybody, distributors, wholesalers, consumers. I had a few friends, but I was living in Nicaragua at the time. So I tried to unite or connect that part of the business with this part of the business as well. It was going to be a very tough challenge. And that's when I said, I didn't have a business plan when I started this business. I just jumped in the water, swim with the sharks. I remember producing the first order, the minimum order, and I told my wife, Soliana, and said, if it doesn't work, I'm sure we're gonna have a loud cigar to smoke. And she just looked at me and said, like, it better work. You better make it work. So I remember going to Orlando, IPCPR at that time, now PCA, my first trade show. That was next year will be our 10th. It will be 10 years ago. So it's 9 years ago. And sitting down and opening a booth by myself, I had a customer with me at that time, and trying to get people to enjoy a cigar. And little by little, that involved word to mouth, a lot of social media effort. So that helped a lot in that aspect. But it has been a very long and tough journey. I mean, there was a time in which I remember one year was over 38 trips in a year, and each of my trip is at least 1 or 2 weeks. So I was spending more time with seeing my kids grow by the phone. They actually being with them. So you cannot get to plan A or to point C without going to plan A and B. But most important part is you will never get to point C if you don't have the passion to do so.
True. So I'm curious, when you talk about these two aspects of the business, first of all, building the relationships, creating all the channels of sales, working with the right distributors, but on the other hand, just manufacturing the cigars. What was more challenging for you, the actual product, or how you ultimately bring it to the market and make sure that people can enjoy that?
All of the above. There's nothing easy right here. Everything's challenging from the manufacturing to finding the right distributors, the right partners to do so, the right accounts or shops or lounges to be offering the cigars. Everything is a challenge, and every day it is. We are a boutique company, a small company, and we have to make sure that everything is set perfectly because there's no room for errors. If a production doesn't come well, most likely it will cost my company. If we partner up with the wrong distributor, most likely we're going to have a very good hit, and it's going to cost a lot in our company. So all the different moving parts of the business, are very important. All of them are very tricky. All of them are very, I say that, have their own way of doing things, but they needed to be part of the entire puzzle at the business. So you cannot say which one is it's more important or which one is more demanding. All of them. It has to be I always compare this like in a lot of music, like a symphony. You have to get all the pieces together so the melody synchronize perfectly, so something beautiful comes out of that. If something is not if something is missing, if the drummers and don't have the right tempo, or the violins are missing or something, there will be something there that is not what we're trying to offer in the end, and that is going to be that communication is going to be lost there, and the experience, most important, that will be hurt, and that's in putting all that together. It's a work.
It's like the cigar itself, Enrique. It's all about the balance. It's all about the complexity and having the different elements in place. And because you mentioned experience, I mean, even there, right? That's where it sort of all comes together. Every cigar is an experience, and we need all our senses, all these instruments, to come together and be like an orchestra that is superbly well conducted, to appreciate and experience the symphony of life, right? And of every single cigar.
You well said it. Well said.
Now, Enrique, when talking about the manufacturing side of 1502, working with the Plasencia family is a wonderful opportunity and sort of a multiplier, a Kickstarter, but then probably also challenging because it's such a huge operation, right? You mentioned a little earlier that for you, something was missing in the marketplace. So there was probably a specific flavor profile, an aromatic profile that you had in mind and that you wanted to create and replicate in order to find your little spot in the cigar industry. How do you approach finding that and creating, like, translating your idea and your vision, in particular of the aromatic profile, into the actual smoking experience?
That's a very tough one. I think that's part of the creation of I don't know if I would like to consider myself an artist in that aspect, but in a way, I think that will be the best definition to do so. So everything starts, in my case, everybody has their own way of doing it, their own way of creating their own blends, or creating cigars, or creating that. For me, everything starts with the concept. I have a concept and in something that how can we create that concept and move the concept from an idea to something more touchable, something more tangible in that aspect. And that's part of the journey of creating a great blend in that aspect. So when we first get started, I wanted a cigar for my after breakfast. I wanted my cigar for after lunch, and I wanted my cigar after dinner. That's why we call Emerald 51 Ruby and 51 Black Gold. So all the different blends in that aspect. And there was something missing in between. There were some cigars in which were more full bodied. They were very intrigued in the market at that time. But there was something there that there was a missing part of it. And I'm like, wait a second. And that's when you start without, you cannot see it going forward, but you can always try to reach or find it. But when you find it, it's like, oh my God, jackpot, I just found it. That's beautiful. But in the process, it's a very long process in the aspect. But it starts everything with the concept, and that's very important of me. People ask me, how do you find the flavors? And my response is very simple. Is that I don't find the flavors. In the end, the flavors find me. I start with the concept. I start working with ideas. That I know the characteristic of the different tobaccos, and I can work the blends in my mind, and then trying to put it together, and then it gets to a point in which physically I have it, and I can experience it, and then I had the patience of waiting another 6 months, another 12 months, another 24 months, or another 36 months, and to see how that cigar is going to evolve in time. And that's the only way to do it. It's by doing experience. But it starts everything with the concept. And then you ask yourself, is this exactly what I'm looking for? Is this the concept? Is this the key of the concept that we're finding? And sometimes you say yes, and most of the time you say no. And you have to reinvent everything again, or do some changes, or throw everything away and start from scratch again. So it's a long process, but I think in my part, it's with a passion, with the love that I have, it's a fun ride. Sometimes it does not look fun because my wife is like, you look very stressful. Honey, I'm a perfectionist. I like to make everything perfect as it should be. Like a symphony, it has to it sounds beautiful. If it's not beautiful, then something there is not working well. Same with cigars. It has to be perfect.
I can fully relate to that, and the perfectionism in combination with the passion can be a dangerous cocktail sometimes, because it really gets us moving, right? Because Mr. Zimmel just wrote in the chat whether the people ask questions. Well, we love all your questions, so please feel free to raise your hand or put something in that box when you're here via Zoom with us at the lounge. And for everybody watching over on Facebook via our live stream, please feel free to put all your questions underneath the live stream so I can bring forward those questions to Enrique and we can discuss them in the show. Here's Riot, our brother from Dubai, with a brief question. Riot, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Sending you lots of great wishes and greetings from Sicily.
Oh, are you in Sicily? I missed the first part.
I am.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Excellent. Enrique, how are you?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you doing? Great to see you again.
Always. So good to be here. Thank you for always giving us this opportunity, Reinhard. And I hope you're enjoying Sicily. I'm actually in Jordan. I came to see my family for a couple of days, but that would not stop me from missing the show. Just wanted to share with you a couple the way I met Enrique and the way I had my first cigar. We arrived in Vegas about a month back, and Abdul and I were we arrived a day early, so we started going to different cigar lounges, and I'm sitting on a table with random people that I've never met before, and we're smoking cigars and we're talking cigars, and like, oh my God, tell us about Dubai, the whole cigar scene in Dubai and all of that stuff. And then he starts talking about those cigars that I have no clue about. He's like, wait, you haven't tried those yet? I'm like, man, there's a lot of cigars that I haven't tried yet. There's so much out there, but that's the beauty of it. You discover every day. And he's like, okay, we're meeting tomorrow at PCA. I'm going to hand take you to the booth and you're going to meet Enrique. Sure enough, we meet there. We're jet lagged, we're tired. I don't know if I was in the mood of even having a cigar. It was a bit too early. And Enrique, just with the passion that you're seeing right now, takes me under his wing, talks to me about his cigars, talks to me about his blends, and gives me a cigar. And you know, it's one of those cigars where you take the first two puffs and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know, every now and then you try that cigar that you realize has something unique about it. And that was the experience that I had. So Enrique, amazing work. Love your cigars. You gave me a whole bunch of them. Just smoked the last one a couple of days ago. So I can't begin to tell you how excited and looking forward to having your cigars in Dubai as per the plan that we're both working on. And I cannot but wish you all the best, really.
I appreciate, it was a pleasure to meet you again. Remember, we first met in Dortmund for Intertabac.
You're so right.
That was our first meet, and of course we reunite in PCA in Vegas. And I'm glad. I remember I gave you a 52 XO, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you gave me a whole bunch of interesting ones. Very interesting cigars.
Yeah. So I'm glad you are very pleased, and definitely we have to keep talking to carry on and get our cigars in Dubai and go to see you guys as well.
Definitely. Reinhard, enjoy Sicily. You've been a frequent lately in Italy. I don't know what's going on. You're just you're there.
This time it's not cigar related though. So Smoking Moses is not hiding somewhere.
That was my second question. Where are you hiding? Where are you hiding him?
No, I believe he's enjoying Ferragosto like most of Italy right now.
Excellent. Can I send a shout out?
Please do. Of course.
Ray, we just wanted to wish you super good luck tomorrow. You're gonna rock. I know, no, don't put your hand on your face. You're gonna rock the show tomorrow. I know you will. Thank you so much.
Ray, you want to say something about that? You're gonna be on TLE.
Come on, tell us about it, Ray. Come on, we want as many people to dial in as possible.
Well, I don't know what to say. I was really surprised when they invite me to be a guest there, as you all know what kind of guests they have there. And when they just, Amy and Eric asked me, I can't say no, So the show will be interesting. I promise you a lot of laugh, a lot of fun stories. So listen up, TLE podcast tomorrow.
Just be yourself and it's going to be brilliant. I can tell you that much.
And he'll probably be talking about the upcoming Light 'em Up Go, our application that is going live these days. So
excellent.
People are already beta testing, so be on the lookout for that. I'll send you all a newsletter. Enrique, let me take the opportunity since Ryan is here and he just commented on during our show. Your cigars are distributed in different parts of the world, and obviously we often discuss various expectations or people's experiences with different aromas and flavors, different spice levels, different cuisines. When you think about a new blend, a new cigar line, you mentioned the concept is what you're thinking about. Is it the idea to recreate an aromatic profile that you very much enjoy? Is it a certain topic that you want to recreate? Or do you also have the end consumer in mind and how your cigars will be enjoyed, how they will smoke in various parts of the world?
I always, I have said this before, and I always said there are two types of blenders that I'm aware of course. We have the corporate blenders in which they do blend for a specific market. If they're gonna go for a Mexico market, of course, they're going to use a little bit more, something a little bit more tobacco, a little bit more spice in the aspect. So, that way. So they do blend for specific markets, and people are very knowledgeable, even before that tobacco leaf is growing. Everything they can tell you ahead what's going to happen, and they got all the information, all the knowledge in that aspect. But we also have the artistic blenders in which I will consider myself in that aspect. I don't blend for a specific market. I blend for myself. I blend for what I believe, something it's not in the world yet, but it's waiting to be discovered. So in that aspect, And of course, it's we always have the hope that the market actually enjoy it as well. And of course, in the end, this is the business. It's not only about creating art, but it's I will be more allied to the blending characteristic in that aspect, in which will be more the artistic part of it. So yes, I start with a concept. There's some aromas, there's some flavors, some that it's around that concept in which I cannot even taste or feel in the moment, but I know it's there. And searching it and looking for it until you find it or they find you, it's part of the journey. It's part of the adventures, and it's part of the fun in the end. You know, frustrated at some point because you can say that it's almost there, but I cannot find it. I cannot quite put my hands to it. But looking for it, it's always the fun part of it.
Do you have specific tobaccos that you like to work with? And do you have free reign over the Plasencia stock and inventory? Is it just specific origins out of Nicaragua that you're looking for? How do you think about that? What's the individual ingredients to the recipe you're cooking?
You know what? I don't like to believe they have a specific ingredients for that. I like to get everything that is available out there. There, everywhere in the world, the tobacco that has something special to offer. There's no doubt in that one. But finding the right combination is what it's the tricky part of it. So I do use a lot more Nicaraguan tobacco, not only because I'm Nicaraguan, proud Nicaraguan, and the tobacco is for Nicaragua, it's manufactured in Nicaragua, but also because I love the Nicaraguan tobacco. In Nicaragua, we have 4 main regions. You remember Jalapa, Condega, Estelí, and Ometepe. All 4 regions in which they have their own characteristics. It has so much variety of different alternatives there just to play around it. It's amazing just being in Nicaragua. For example, in 51 to Nicaragua, the one I'm enjoying right now, this is have all 4 regions in this blend. And none of the regions actually stands out. It's Nicaragua as one. And that was the concept behind it. Is to work Nicaragua as one, as we always has dreamed for centuries, and put everything, but none of the region actually can stand out. It's the only thing can stand out is Nicaragua itself. So working in that concept, I didn't see, oh, it has to have this flavor profile or this characteristic or no. Let's see how can we combine that. How can we put them together and see what Nicaragua can bring together as one. And that was the idea. That's why I said sometimes the flavor on the aromas find you, you're not looking for them. And that's I remember a aroma and a flavor. It's a reminder of something you had before. You cannot say it tastes like chocolate if you have never had chocolate before. You cannot say, oh, it smells like vanilla, but you never smelled vanilla before. And everybody has a different flavor profile. Everybody has a different their food for the place where they live and everything. It has a different one. The more it reminds you of that, it's the more you're gonna be in your conscious and subconscious. So for me, it might taste this characteristic. For somebody else, it might taste something different. But it's part of how we do worldwide. I mean, that's the way it goes.
Do you have a specific way of training your palate on that? Is it cooking, baking that you draw sensory inspiration from? Do you do any other sort of sensory analysis or training with Nick Kutro's system, for example? Well, he has such a wonderful project people can use to in their own sensory systems. How do you go about that?
You know, I do it of what I feel in making. You know, I do compare this a lot with cooking because I love cooking. It's I probably do the barbecue every 4 or 5 times a week, and at least 1 time a day. I'm the one cooking in the house. So if you imagine my wife and kids, they're always like jumping, waiting for what are they gonna make? What are they gonna make? So for me, it's a way to share with them of flavors or something that they normally they will not experience everywhere and trying to educate them. What are you feeling? What are you not feeling? What do you smell? Oh, what kind of pepper you talking about? A black pepper? You talking about the type of pepper? So all that it's part educating my kids in the aspect. And the way I do the blending, I'm not looking for that. It was very. It was an experience. I remember it was in Plasencia. Somebody was blending a cigar and he was talking, I feel chocolate from a little bit nutty from the Amazon, and it's getting more creative. And just looking at one of the master blenders, what do you think? Look, to me, it tastes a lot like Condega, Ligero from Condega. So yeah, you can compare it to other flavors, but Condega or Ligero Condega, it has a specific aroma, a specific flavor in the aspect. For you, it might transfer to other flavors and you have more experience to that one. For a blender, that tastes like a Condega, a Ligero from Condega, which it's a different way of seeing things in that aspect.
That's very interesting. And I sometimes feel like there's various groups, not just in the cigar industry, but also in wines and spirits. But in particular in cigars, I've realized that every now and then somebody approaches you and be like, yeah, the cigar, it smells and tastes like tobacco, right? And then there's the more colorful way of describing things, which sometimes can also go over the top and probably be a little overly creative when it comes to describing cigars. Now, which category do you fall in, or is it somewhere in the golden middle?
I do not have a category in that aspect. I mean, I do not look for the flavors as you compare it to other flavors. I look for the flavors in the tobacco itself. And that it's, for me, what I always blending in my head. And then, of course, when we come out with the prototypes and the cigar itself, then you get to try the different combination in the aspect. Most of the people, they do know how the taste of salt or pepper or the aroma of thyme or Mary or all those aromas. So how do you, in your mind, how can you put them all them together and describe how it would taste and how the aroma would be? And that's what I do. That's like when I start doing the concept. It's like, okay, you know what? For this concept, I would like to try the wrapper from this area, binder for that area. Normally I use 3 long fillers, this in these areas. Let's see how that goes and start making the combination in that aspect. So it's a process, not only of making it, but also for me to be learning, in which it's something that I never stop. I mean, every day you learn something new. And that's beautiful about this industry. It's about always learning, educate your palate. You're not always going to get it right, but you will never know if it's right or not until you try it.
Interesting point as well. Enrique, my background is in wines and spirits, and I work as a bartender and host as well. And usually for me, when I'm building my sensory database, I can sort of reverse engineer the process and create a drink almost on paper because I know all my ingredients, I know how they will come together. And it's almost like I have a phantom taste and aroma on my palate or on my nose. And then you try it and you sort of recreate that ghost
of course,
profile and the idea that you had. Is it the same for you, or have you also had like combinations where you thought, well, this is going to be an amazing cigar, and then you smoked a little test blend and you'd be like, it doesn't work at all?
It's a lot of trial and error. I mean, you can create a blend in your head and and then make the blends physically and then try and it's like, yeah, that didn't go well. But that same happens in cooking. Last night I was doing a bistec a la Florentina, and it took me at least 3 times to actually make it many years ago to make it right. But before that, it was a lot of try and error. I mean, it's you try with this, you try that. You know what didn't work? Let's twist here. Let's do that until you finally get it right, and that's very important.
So, going away from the sensory part a little bit and talking somewhat more about the inspiration of the company as such, where you talk a lot about the origin, the history, even a European connotation with the Spanish impact and influence that there is. Tradition and modern elements somehow seem to come together in the most beautiful way through cigars, where we have century-old knowledge being passed on from generation to generation. It's century-old processes and craftsmanship that still to this day is most relevant to the industry. But we also have a lot of modern influence and things like digitalization that now transforms and disrupts the industry. Not only for your own brand company, but also for the industry on a larger level. Where do you see that fine balance between tradition and modern elements? And how can we all use that to our best abilities for the better of the industry?
That's very, very interesting question. Well, one of the things is in the process of making tobacco, I would say more with the tradition. It's many a process in which it's going to be really tough to modernize it without taking away the quality, and you can put it there. I mean, just to give you an example, the aroma, the flavor, it's what you have in your tongue, so far has never had been able to duplicate it in with technology. It's something it's only for humans, and but to be able to do that, you have to go through all this process and to do so. Now, modernization and the aspect of how you can reach a new market, how can you reach new clients, new consumers, how can you communicate in a much efficient way, like we're doing right now. We are sitting down here in Miami. You're in Sicily. It's in Dubai. I mean, we can all be in the same place, in different places. Sorry, but we all can be connected. That is part of the modernization, and that is definitely it's a big help because before, you know, it was either a letter or newspaper in which you can find the information. Now you can find it in a split of a second, and that definitely helps a lot more. There's more information out there, in which that is wonderful. That's beautiful in the aspect. But in the process of making it, I'm a little bit more old-fashioned. I'll go more for the traditional part.
Great point. Aliki had a question for quite a while. Welcome, dear. It's good to have you, and welcome to the lounge.
Unmute. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
We can hear you.
I'm sorry, it was muted. Hi, Enrique. How are you?
Good to see you. Hey, thank you for adding me to the group. Appreciate.
Thank you so much. Good to see you again today. And I want to thank Reinhard, and I want to congratulate him for the application. It will be launched soon. Can't wait. I want to ask you another question, maybe related to yesterday's conversation that we had. You said something a bit ago. You said, I make the blend in my mind before. What
yes.
do you mean you make in your mind? You mean the blend of leaves or tastes, maybe, like we said yesterday about the tastes?
No,
actually, this is what I'm trying to understand. How a producer makes a blend in his mind before, when you said it. How he thinks, how he starts to create a blend. I'm very curious to know the know-how.
It's a very fair question, in which I love it, to be honest. And let me put it a lot easier as example. Sandwich cookie. Let's say I'm gonna do a Nicaraguan fillet, or for example. It's okay. Yeah. I know how the Nicaraguan fillet tastes. Now, what I'm looking for in the moment. Okay, what kind of people do I have in the house to eat? Okay, what a little bit of background of the people we have here. Okay, you know what? Let's do just a little bit the Nicaraguan salt, the churrasco salt that we use. A little bit of black pepper. Maybe we can use a little bit of the I call that the Chicago seasoning, and I always use it for a Nicaraguan fillet as well. Now, I do know how the Nicaraguan fillet tastes. I know how the salt tastes. I know how the pepper tastes, and I know how the Chicago seasoning tastes. So even before I even get things out of the fridge or put them together, in my mind, I already know what I'm going to be tasting like. And that's when I said, when you create something in your mind, first of all. Now, there's sometimes in which, like, you know what, I never tried a combination before. Let's see how it goes. And so the one way to find out is actually doing it. But everything starts here in my mind. And that's why I said, start with the concept. When I started with the 1502 Nicaragua, for example, and the concept of this one was when my wife told me she was pregnant for Enrique Fernando, my youngest one. And I'm from Nicaragua, my wife Nicaraguan, we live here in the United States, and my kid was born here in the United States. So I'm like, you know what, let me create something. It has to be a pure Nicaragua. It has to have all 4 regions of Nicaragua, or at least the 4 main regions of Nicaragua, and it has to scream Nicaragua itself. And that was the idea. Let's see how it goes. And I started putting the blend together. Okay, they want this, that. Send it to the factory. They make the cigars. They put it in an aging room for 4 to 6 months. Once they're ready, or you are flying to Nicaragua, or they send it over here. And I started going to the prototypes to see the different alternatives, until I find exactly what I was looking for. Now, when I found what I'm looking for, and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I have in my mind. I couldn't taste it, I couldn't see it, I couldn't smell it, but I know it was there. And that's the artistic part. And actually, the first time we put this cigar to people to enjoy it, it was for Enrique Fernando baptized. We are Catholic, of course, in Nicaragua is the main religion, and he was baptized in Nicaragua. So I remember coming out with a baby basket full of 1502 Nicaragua Robustos, and I put it on the table, and you know, all my friends, my cousins just jump and start grabbing all the cigars. And like, oh, guys, you know, I have to wait for another 8 months for that production to kick in. Come on, so much chill. But it started with the concept. I saw that in my mind. I remember getting the idea. I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna put away 3 boxes, one for each of my kids, for when they 21. This is the cigar they're gonna be smoking with me. But everything started with a concept. How the flavors, how the aroma came along. Like I said before, normally they find me. I don't find them. I don't search for the flavor. I don't search for the aroma. I search for the concept and try to pursue it, and then let them discover me.
Okay, I got it. Thank you so much. Okay, very
Anytime.
interesting. Thank you.
Aliki, many thanks for your question. And let's jump over to Brian in LA.
Hello, good afternoon. I got my espresso. This is great. I'm curious, I guess I have 2 questions, maybe sort of about, yeah, there it is. Yeah, I know, mine's gone. I'm switching over to, the espresso ends and then I switch to the whiskey.
Oh, good for you. I'm still with water. It's not quite 5 here yet.
Oh, well, it's noon here, almost. This call proves it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's what I told my wife all the time. Sometimes she complains, but you know.
I mean, literally, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I guess I had 2 questions, sort of about branding and brand names, and one just in terms of the acronym, and just sort of the power of acronyms, and how you came to that name. And if you Google just GPC, the first thing is Genuine Parts Company, but we could find you if you just put in the word cigar. But I just wonder how, you know, that name came to be. It's a great, I love the word global in general. I'm sure that has to do with it. And then also just the genesis of the date and sort of your philosophy with the history of it. You know, I know what I learned in school in the middle of nowhere was not so accurate and not so pretty. And there's a lot of, you know, sadness, I think, when you look at the reality of that time. And I just wonder kind of what is your meaning with the cigar, and how it sort of encompasses the history and you know, the country.
Oh, of course. Well, let's start with the name Global Premium Cigars. You know, it's not every day that you see the vision of the company being the name of the company. Like I said, we are a very small company, a very boutique company, but the idea is to grow global. We just started here in the United States. Was the first market as we did. You know, Europe, of course, came along, We also have distribution in South Africa. We also have distributions in different parts of Central America. We are starting distribution in the Caribbean as well. Starting with Aruba. We are negotiating with Mexico, Dubai. Hopefully, will come along very soon as well. So little by little, you start seeing that in a way we are going global, in which that it's a good thing, but it's very challenging, especially when you're trying to maintain always the quality in the product. So it's baby steps to get there, and which is very important for us. It's not just how you get there. It's not only getting there; it's how you get there as well. So yes, that part is global. It's going because we want to be. We're sure we're not going to be in every corner of the globe, but we want to be the most representative as well and the best represent as well globally. And also that was when we create a company name as itself. Now, for the 1502 cigars, and I don't know if you were here before, but I can explain that it's the year Nicaragua was discovered by Christopher Columbus and before latched to America. But if you look very close to our image, our logo, and let's see if I can put it a little bit over here. If you can see that what you see in the center, that it's a Spanish doubloon. That was the currency in Spain in the year 1502. So what we try to do is trying to unite both worlds, the old world and the new world. You had the most demanding currency in the time, in which was the Spanish doubloon, but you also had the most demanding currency as well for a new world, in which it was our tobacco. Remember, our first currency in Nicaragua, it was a cacao bean, but also tobacco was used as a very high demand or very high currency in that time as well. It was not very common, but it was used that way too. So it's very good to always have a little bit of history behind it. And about the history, I think I have taken my time to read and to study the most quantity of Nicaraguan history as I can imagine. So I now in Nicaraguan because I was born there, because I like to read a lot. Well, before I had kids, now less time. But anyway, there's another story. But it's very important to always to connect the history behind it. I mean, you can knowing the history, it will get you understand how we got to today, and will help you to understand what to do or what not to do in the future as well.
Fantastic. Thank you. I love that. I love that that philosophy on history. That's really great. Thank you. Cheers.
Of course, Brian. Thank you very much for the question.
Enrique, before we jump to the next question, a few blessings and greetings from first of all Jose Blanco, who's watching over on Facebook, as well as quite many other industry icons and legends, but also a very special greeting from our dear brother Johan from Austria. He's running an event tonight, so unfortunately he couldn't join us. He was quite sad, but he's now working on a cigar event whilst we're speaking. But he sends his blessing and regards.
Oh, appreciate it, and all the best in the cigar event, and hopefully I get to see you soon. Can't die. I told you next year. Well, didn't happen last year, didn't happen this year because of the pandemic, but next year I want to go to Europe, close the house here at least 1 month, bring the family so I can go everywhere, do everything it needs to be done, while the family actually get to live a little bit of the European lifestyle, in which I think that will be good for everybody. So hopefully we get to do that next year.
And of course, you have Peter Gaudenzi taking very good care of your product over here. So our regards and our blessings to him as well. And yeah, you've got a great team and great people that you're working with.
Thank you very much. We are very blessed to be working with a great team. I mean, everywhere in the world. I mean, Europe, here in the United States, I think we have put together, I mean, people with passion, with love, and that transmit in the quality of our product. And I mean, that's part of it. When they recommend you something, it's not because I'm going to make more money or that. No, they're going to recommend it because they're sure you will appreciate very much of it, and that is the key thing.
Brilliant. Sterling, what a pleasure to see you. Welcome.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Please shoot your question.
Oh, okay. question is, it's really a two-part question for Mr. Sanchez. When you are blending a cigar, is there a certain ritual that you go through when you're blending the actual cigar? And the other question is, at what point of time do you think that is your best time of day when your inspiration or the ideas for blends actually hit you?
You know what? Let me start with the second question first. And I would love to say it will be in the morning for two specific reasons. One is my palate is the most clean as possible. And second of all, my kids are not in the house. They're in school, thank God. Oh my God. So I can have time for myself. I can put my music, I can make my cappuccino, espresso, everything. I can work with blends. I can think a little bit more clear in the aspect. But for inspiration, there's no time for inspiration. You know, sometimes you can be driving, it hits you. And I have done it. I had to park myself in the middle of the road and you know, get my phone and just and start putting all my ideas there. Otherwise, I will lose them. Sometimes, you know, it happens with a dream. You wake up in the middle of the night. It's like, wait a second, and because I'm write it down. There's no time frame for that one. It's the inspiration comes. And when it comes, make sure to get it because it will fly very fast. So it's like I said, it's compared to other blenders, and everybody has their own way. Even painters. I mean, there's no specific technique of how they get inspired of doing this creation or the other. Chef, it's same way. When it comes, it comes. Everybody has their own way of working things. There's some people say, you know what, my ritual is that every day I sit down and I roll the cigars and put it there or grab whatever I need to be enjoying and light it and see how it goes, play with the aroma and everything. That's how they do it. That's wonderful. All the respect with that one. My way of doing everything comes more from the heart, and that.
Thank you for answering that.
Of course, Brian.
Brilliant. Always great to have so many questions from our audience and all the people tuning in. Again, for everybody watching on Facebook, please just make sure that you put your questions in the comments and we'll bring them forward. We spoke about the international markets. And Enrique, how many countries do you currently export cigars to?
It's Europe, of course, United States. It's Mexico's in the way. Aruba, we just finished up the first order last week. South Africa, we have been working with Pedro Ramos since probably 4 or 5 years ago. Central America, of course, we have been working probably around that time as well. So that will be it for now. I mean, there's two main spots, and we always do send our product. It's of course United States and Europe, and there is the other small markets, and we always try to supply it the best we can. So it's a long way to go global as it is, but we are getting there. And you know, with the demand and everybody asking, how can we get them? And okay, let's talk to see how we can work this together.
What's the vision moving forward? Where do you see 1502 going? Where do you see Global Premium Cigars headed? And what would be your wish for the next couple of years for the company to look like?
Well, growing is always really good, but you have to be very careful with growing, because if you grow very fast, you will face the consequences of that one, especially in the quality. And that's something we cannot negotiate. That's something that we can never give. We always have to be consistent in that quality. And if we have to stop the growth to make sure that it's the key part of it, we will definitely do it. We have done it before and we will continue to do it. So we always believe there are difficult times in life. There's good times, there are bad times and everything. Everybody has them. But it's some things in which you cannot be changed are your values. And part of our value is the part in our company is to have that quality always. So there's next year, it will be our 10th anniversary. So if you can imagine, being a good Nicaraguan, we're gonna have a lot of fun, especially with what we're coming out with. We have probably 4 different blends in the pipeline. 50 aniversario, it's the prototype are almost done. Production is getting started, so we can have that ready for the next year. But there will be other surprises too. So in the short term, celebrate those 10 years because we deserve it. We has been a long ride. It has been a very bumpy road in the ways, but it has been a very fun experience. And that it's something, a way to thank everybody which has supported us for these 10 years, something special. I will be coming very soon. And in the long term, like I say, go global. As long as you do not sacrifice that quality.
That is actually a very important point that I briefly wanted to touch upon with you as well. The industry currently is going through an interesting phase, an interesting period in time where demand seems to be skyrocketing. Everybody's low on stock, whether it's with raw materials, ready-made cigars, and everything regarding supply chain in between. Where do you see the cigar industry currently? What's your feeling as to the near, mid, and long-term future of the industry? And is it all positive and all bullish, or do you see some warning signs on the horizon as well?
Well, I would love to think that everything is positive and that the demand in which has increased very rapidly due to the COVID, that will be sustainable. And definitely that's something we are hoping that will be the case. But I think there's a lot more of areas in which you have to be very careful. We had this part of the meeting in the Nicaragua tobacco chamber, in which like, okay, yeah, we did grow last year tremendously, but don't shoot ourselves in the foot. Make sure that it's not only grow because you're producing more tobacco, but sacrificing the quality. So that balance, it's very difficult, especially with product or premium cigars like ours, in which they do take a lot longer process in the fermentation and the taking care of the leaf. All those processes, it takes a lot longer. If you're going to start shoring just because you need to sell more, in the long term, it will definitely be a very risky alternative in which we're not going to go there. That means we're not going to be able to grow as fast as some other companies do. Well, let it be. That's the way we're going to do it. So I like to believe that this is not only a spike in time. I would love this to be a continuous in time, so people can understand that a cigar, it's not a cigarette. It's not like any other product. It's something completely different. It does have tobacco, no doubt. It's completely, when nobody is complaining about that one, but it's to another level, and it's distributed to minors. So all those things in which we have been blacklisted in a way in this industry, we have now we have a bigger, stronger voice to say, hey, we are different, and I hope we take this advantage of this spike to do so. So I like to see that in the aspect. And hopefully the industry itself do not settle for more, sacrificing less quality or getting more less quality. And people try to always insist that, oh, you always get the high quality.
Would you feel that it's easier for a company that grows their own tobacco or is entirely vertically integrated because you're in control of everything? Or do you also feel there's a certain charm to being independent and probably more flexible because you can shift from here to there and adjust to showtime changes?
I mean, it all depends on strategy, the strategy you have. You know, everybody base their strategy and the weekend for tests that everybody has, and that's a key thing. I think I'm sorry, I don't think that the way it has always shown the world is that the companies that they're a lot bigger with they're a lot slower movers. they adapt slower to the changes in the market or the demands of the market. And due to small companies in which we're not a vertical, we are very boutique in that aspect, we can adjust and change a lot faster. And we can create something in which other companies cannot create. Have the talent of making something out of nothing, or of just ideas, compared to a corporate in which they're focused more in the numbers. This is the number I need, this is the growth I need, and how are we gonna get there? It's quite different. We do the opposite. He said, this is what people are gonna enjoy, this is what I love, and hopefully those numbers definitely it shows they're around. So it's two different perspectives in how to see things. In which is better strategy in that one, I cannot tell you. The only thing I can tell you that as a small company, we are a lot more flexible, and we can achieve. If there is a problem in the like last year, when the pandemic hit, everything froze for the first 3-4 months. Everybody bled in the way as a company, because we couldn't do anything. But our costs are very low, so we can supply the part and do have no much issue compared to a bigger company, in which for them it was a big hit. So that aspect, for them supply the demand that the market has right now, they're struggling in that aspect. As a boutique company, we don't. So it's like we say, it always depends.
Are you sometimes worried about the supply of tobacco and raw material from Nicaragua?
That's something that we always worry. But you know what? When I started working with Plasencia, I remember say, if Plasencia later on in life tells me that they do not have enough tobacco to make my cigars, it's because they're in trouble. And if they're in trouble, the industry is in trouble. So I did kind of minimize my risk going with them in that aspect. And so far, I have not gone wrong with the perspective. So it's always, like my dad used to say, it's not what you have, it's who you know, what it counts. And being with this family, this wonderful family, always makes me sleep a lot peaceful at night.
Mm. Yeah, we spoke about this with Nestor during those that we did for LAP, also of course during the Puro Sabor shows that we hosted with our virtual festival. So I guess it's very interesting, and we'll all have to monitor the situation, how it evolves, not regarding COVID, but especially with the global supply chains. And as you said, quality always has to be the number one, and the first
yes.
promise that we're working on. Enrique, if you would wish for something in the industry, for it to be better, for it to change for the better, what could we all do as cigar enthusiasts, as passionate cigar smokers? And what about the manufacturing community, the brand owners? What could we all strive for to make the industry a little better?
Better unification. It's a very small industry, and I see a lot of ego, and that's one the dark side of the industry, is want to put it there. There's a lot of people think, oh, me, are not thinking about us in general, and that it's something that always will be better. If we don't unify, the governments are after us. You have FDA here, you have that thing in Europe as well. They're trying to minimize where you're going to enjoy the cigars, or how frequently you're going to enjoy a cigar when taxes high and everything. That's a consequence of not being unified, and we have to stick better in that aspect. Now, what would I like to see better in as the consumer side? I like people to think outside the box. Friends, you can never see if you like it or not until you try it. So open your mind. It's people can tell you, yes, it's I like it, I don't like it. That doesn't help me. It helped me once I try it, and maybe the first time it was not a fair try, let me try the second one or the third time. Then I can decide I like it or not like it. It's quite different. But open up a little bit more in that aspect. I know there's some regions in which have been longer in some markets, but there's always something new. And give it a chance to the little ones. And I will tell you something very important. A boutique company is playing their games in every day, in every production. If we do something wrong, most likely we're not going to be here tomorrow. So we always playing our skin in every time, in everything that we do. Compared to the big guys in which, hey, this brand didn't work well, repackage it and send it to market some other way. They're allowed to do that. But we do not, and I'm glad we do not, because that way we have to be more perfectionist in the quality of what we produce and make sure that everything is as it should be. So it's but we always need the consumers to be more open-minded. Try it. If you never tried that before and somebody told you that you didn't like it, that doesn't mean that you will not like it. Try it out. See how it goes. Give it a try. Sometimes stay outside of your comfort zone. And try new things. There's a lot of flavors. I mean, today, the industry, it's like the Renaissance cigars. It's really hard not to walk into humidor and find something you're going to love it. But you will never understand it once you try it. So give it a chance. Open it up.
So you mentioned boutique, and you also mentioned the word small. Do you think that when it comes to premium cigars, utmost quality and premium is always directly linked to quantity as well, or is there an opportunity to also produce true premium super high-end cigars at a larger scale?
There is, of course. I mean, you have seen it. There's great families out there in which they produce quantities, but they do produce quality as well. So it can be achieved. What I'm always trying to focus on, trying to tell, don't do shortcuts. I mean, do it the right way. Because if you say, yeah, of course, think with your bank statement, you're most likely gonna be doing the shortcuts. But they have been proved. There has been families, Plasencia, you got Fuentes, you got many other great families in which they have proven that they can produce in the high quantities, but we're always keeping the quality there. So can it be achieved? Yes, it can. It has been achieved. Yes, it has been achieved. Does everybody have achieved it? No. And that's why you differentiate it. Who is who? Absolutely.
And I guess when we consider the legacy brands and families that have stood the test and have always been there, they're a true testament to what quality and consistency can bring, and particularly in the cigar industry, where, as you mentioned before, first of all, it's all about the unity. And then for us as a global cigar community, as cigar lovers, as cigar smokers, and for you as cigar manufacturers, it's about the quality of the product and of the moments that we all share together, which is exactly what we love to do at the Light 'em Up Lounge. And that's why I'm so grateful, Enrique, that you also took the time, joined us, and gave us a few more insights into your personal journey with cigars and the story of 1502 and Global Premium Cigars. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you for the opportunity, Renjor. That's something that it's for us as to be able to express ourselves in a very friendly environmental, like we're doing right now. It's always a blessing. It's something that sometimes we cannot, or we don't have the opportunity to do it every day, sadly, but we're always looking forward to do so.
Beautiful. Enrique, thank you so much. It was a wonderful opportunity to sit down with you for this conversation. Thanks for everything that you shared with us. Next week, we will welcome Kyle Gallis from Warped Cigars. So that will be a very interesting conversation about boutique cigars and small manufacturer as well. But for today, thank you all so much for taking time and being here with us. And again, in particular to you, Enrique, many, many thanks. All the very best, and I truly hope that we can share a cigar together again super soon. And we're waiting for you over in Austria and in Europe. But probably I'll see you in Nicaragua in the meantime.
Oh, that would be wonderful. very hard. Appreciate it. Hey guys, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate, and always remember, find the time. Don't let anybody take it away. Relax and enjoy. It's your right. You can, it's a must thing every day. Fine, relax and enjoy. Appreciate. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.